actually one of my favorite fall paintings, perfect for this time of year. We're going to do a reflecting sunset. So I'm going to take yellow and white in the middle of my canvas, doing back and forth strokes. Then without washing my brush, I'm going to do orange at the top, blended in, but I'm also going to do it at the bottom. Whatever we do at the top of our canvas, we're going to do at the bottom in this picture. So then without washing my brush, I'm doing red at the top and the bottom. And I'm without washing my brush again, then I'm going to go right into blue. I'm using 3 different shades of blue. It doesn't matter which shades, but I usually do a bright blue and a teal at least. And then I'm going to go back and forth the rest of the way up the canvas, top and bottom, all the way down. Now, because I am doing this on stretch canvas, I am going to be picky about my blending. I'm going to go in with a clean brush then and do some red. And I'm also going to take a smaller round brush and blend in that orange on those crisp lines. I want them to be really blended in. And then after drying it, I'm going to take a detail brush and make an orange line straight down the middle. Ooh, I love that. Then making a lighter orange with white, I'm going to add some mountains on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of my canvas and fill in anything above that line in between with that color. It's like a light orange. Now, this is where it gets fun, though. So I'm going to make sure those are highlighted. I'm going to make a darker shade of orange with a little bit of nutmeg brown and make the mountains reflect in the water, just doing the same thing, or at least very close. It doesn't have to be exact underneath. If you struggle with this, you can actually turn your canvas upside down to get that shape. But I've done this enough times that I can kind of wing it. See how the dark and the light together looks like a reflection. All right, so now here's our tree. We're going to do a little line right underneath that thin part so we can plant our tree. This is going to be a little island. It's kind of floating in the middle of the water. So again, a little bit more of an abstract version of a tree. I'm going to do a couple branches, but honestly, we're not going to see those in the end. And underneath that line, I'm also going to do a trunk going the opposite way and a couple of branches going the other way. Let's add our leaves. All right, I'm going to start with red in my sea sponge and just bounce it like a bunny all around the top. Now, you don't want it to look like a lollipop, so you don't want it to be a perfect circle, but I do mind a little bit rounded, and I'm also going to do the same thing to the bottom side of the tree. That is the reflection. Anything you do to the top, you do to the bottom of this tree. Now, I'm going to go back in with some orange, do that all around. Now, I'm doing them kind of in just different clumps. You don't want it to be perfectly spaced out, but kind of different areas, kind of like the fall path scene we did a while ago. I'm going to take some yellow and add that as well. Notice how my brighter colors are up towards the tops and the very bottom on the reflection there. Now, you could keep it really, really bright like that, but I go in with brown then, like a dark burnt umber, and I start to bounce in while it's still wet, that darker color. This turns it into more of a fall color scheme instead of kind of cartoony, but I've seen people do it both ways. And then if it gets too dark, I dry it, and then I go back in and I add more pops of red, orange, and yellow over top of that. I even did a couple pops of leaves blowing on the other side. If you look on the left-hand side, they're blowing off the canvas. And then you can take a detail brush and add in a couple branches that you may have lost. I'm also going to do a little shine on the trunk there, even going down to the bottom, and he still kind of looks like he's floating there, so I'm going to give him a little bit more ground with my detail brush. And let's do some teeny tiny grasses pulling up, up, up. Again, canvas paintings that I teach in classes are very bit more detailed, so it's up to you how much detail you add to it. So I'm even going to add more of a reflection to the bottom half. Notice you can't see quite as much of that reflection because it's in the ground. And so it doesn't look like it's really, really popping out. I want to make it look like it's in the water, so I'm going to brush in with watered down blue and white just a little bit over top of that blue section, because then it will look like it's reflecting from the sun. But if you do too much, don't worry. You can take your sea sponge and you can bounce in a couple leaves over top if you do it too dark. So that's how you do my fall reflection. I love the colors in this one, and I love to do it around Thanksgiving time just because of how bright and cheery it is.